Being here.
We're going to jump right to questions. No opening statements today. Right.
Yes, sir.
Mario, during fall camp, when did you decide that you trusted Panay not only to potentially play a lot, but left tackle specifically instead of maybe, trusting a veteran like Throckmorton over there, just given the importance of that spot?
It really wasn't decided up until maybe a couple days leading up to game one. But what happened was, Panay had never played left tackle before. In fact, I think he'll be the first to tell you when he had a couple of reps at some of those events that they have nowadays, those recruiting events, that it wasn't a great couple of reps for him. And then when we're over here during camp, we put him out there, we put Throckmorton out there, George Moore, Brady, and everyone had some pretty significant success. It just seemed that he was feeling more and more comfortable, and he was being very productive in the sense that he was playing with a lot of power, a lot of balance and body control, really just doing a good job controlling defenders at the line of scrimmage and knocking people back. So the decision was made. And again, when you're looking at a 17-year-old guy, so you always want to see how that works out. But he doesn't flinch, and we think he's just scratching the surface as to what he's going to be.
How did you guys grade him out those first two games?
He graded out really high. He was, I'll have to double check for you. I can get that information so I don't, speak out of turn or inaccurately, but it's somewhere in the high 80s. And with a lot of knockdowns. Shane Lemieux and Panay led the team in knockdowns this past week again.
You said on Saturday that there was marked improvement. When you went back and reviewed the film, where did you see the most improvement, I guess, from week 1 to week 2 from your guys?
The most important improvement area for us was in the way that we played, from snap to whistle. I think every play played with a lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm, and some really good effort. We saw effort across the board. Our fundamentals improved. We thought that our pad level was better. We tackled better. We controlled the line of scrimmage better. We were much more efficient on offense. Offensively, we actually didn't have a single penalty, which was kind of a groundbreaking thing for us. So we aligned the right way. Our split, we have split rules as it relates to the offensive linemen, the tight ends, and the wide receivers, and that could get pretty tricky. And we were 100% on point with all that stuff. So overall, I just thought the attention to detail, the discipline, and the effort were better.
Back, Joey.
After watching the film with Cam out at tight end, what'd you make of that tight end spot? Obviously, Kano had that big touchdown. What were some of your thoughts on that tight end position?
Proud of those guys, every single one of them. Jake went out there with a banged up hand and went out there and fought through practice and had a productive day. Kano obviously caught the touchdown pass and showed how physical he could be with and without the ball in his hands on that particular play. And a guy that gets overlooked a bunch is Ryan Bay. I can't say enough good things about him. The guy does an excellent job at the point of attack and on the backside as a blocker. I know he didn't. I don't think he touched the ball. Just about everybody else did, but I don't think he touched it. He is very versatile and very productive. I think you saw also, Camp Moyer and Mariota got in there as well, and those guys had success. So I thought the position stepped up. They knew the situation, the circumstances, and they never flinched. We've worked hard. They've trained hard. We've put them in similar situations throughout practice against really good players in our defense, and we trusted them, and it paid off on Saturday.
Second row on the right, Ken.
You mentioned penalties. First two games, it seems to be a significant area of improvement from years past. How big of an emphasis has that been, and how proud of you are you of that?
Well, I'd like to say I'm really proud, but if we had 5, and we should have had 1 at the most, So we have improved, and we're pleased with that kind of progress, but it still has to get better. I think that part, the fact that we didn't turn the ball over, I know I mentioned the offense did a better job reducing penalties. If you don't shoot yourself in the foot, your chances go up exponentially, right, throughout the course of a game. So in terms of a point of emphasis, we had officials at just about every single one of our practices throughout camp, and I think that has paid off and will continue to pay off because we're still using them.
On the left, Rob.
Another opponent this week that likes to target their tight end. How do you feel about that matchup coming off last week particularly?
Yeah, he's a really good player, and he's a big target with a big catch radius. He runs really well. It's interesting because they play 2 quarterbacks. One is more of a pocket passer, And the other one is more of a runner, but that can throw the ball really well also, a spread guy. And they do a good job of creating space. They do a good job of, bless you, they do a good job of getting the ball to their athletes in space. And they have some fast and athletic guys who have found, some success, especially in game one. But the tight end is by far one of their best players. So he presents a challenge to us, and one that our guys are looking forward to responding to.
On the left, Eric.
San Jose State does have some tape against a Pac-12 opponent, Washington State last week. Does that help in terms of kind of evaluating kind of what they are?
It helps evaluating personnel, because obviously you get to see the matchups, and the matchup that really sticks out in our mind is the fact that their entire defensive line is made up of seniors, guys that played a lot of ball together. Their offensive line has had 35 combined starts together, so they are a very seasoned group at the line of scrimmage. But Washington State is so different schematically than us that from a formation and scheme overlap, there's not as much as you would like, but the teams last year they played, teams like Texas that they played last year, where there is a lot of formational overlap, not necessarily scheme overlap, where it'll help you in terms of making putting your game plan together as it relates to defensive structure, coverages, and all that stuff. So I think we feel good about what we have on them and what we have to study to prepare for them.
Left, Matt.
You've got quite a bit of spreading the wealth at receiver. Do you want one or two guys to kind of emerge as that go-to, air quote, mentality, or do you like spreading the ball around to everybody?
Like getting the ball to our playmakers and the ones that are playing the best. It so happened the other day we really had an opportunity to spread around, and it makes for a great day, right? For everybody, everybody's feels like they contributed in some way, shape, or form, and I think that's also important when guys have put in the time. But that being said, there's still the business aspect of it is, as guys continue to separate themselves in terms of their performance, they'll get the ball more. And if there's a gap there, well, it's our job as coaches to help close that gap. We don't want big gaps, if any, between the guys that are starting, the guys that are coming in second or third. We want to shrink that. That's, if you could do that with your football team as the season goes on, then God forbid, when you do sustain, an injury or two, that you can overcome it. You're not stuck with a void that you can't fix. So, does that make sense? Okay.
Back right, Jerry.
Coach, you said going into game two that you wanted to see more from your twos and threes, executing wise, moving the ball down the field and keeping drives alive. Are you seeing more from the depth on that chart?
We are. I think that 16-play drive by the twos was a nice exclamation point for those guys, because we played a lot of young guys in that group. One of them that stands out, Stephen Jones, got in there and played some left tackle for us when George Moore had the ankle injury. And you saw the number of backs that had an opportunity to touch the ball, but they controlled the line of scrimmage. They lined up correctly. They did the right things for the most part, and there's still some room for improvement right there. But that's the way you want to close out a game. You want to be able to play guys and give them the opportunity not only to be productive, but to improve and prove that they can play winning football for us, right? Because at some point in time, we're going to have to count on them as starters. Could be this year. Right? It could be next game. It could be next year, but that time is coming. The clock is ticking on that, and we want to make sure that when that time does get here, we're ready to roll.
On the left, second row, Eric.
Yeah, looking at the game notes here, it looks like 4 of your assistants actually spent time at San Jose State. Is that an added element, having some experience, some overlap there?
I think it's always it's whenever you play against your alma mater, there's something special about that. But at the same time, the approach is so businesslike here. I hope that's something that we're really exuding as we continue to march along the course of the year. That the approach that we have is one that stay humble, stay hungry, attack every single opportunity that we have created for ourselves. We've created a great opportunity for ourselves because of the way that we're playing and our situation, our conference. That it's all about just making sure that we do everything humanly possible to put our players in the best position to make plays on Saturday.
Start of conference play obviously looms. You liked the focus last week. Do you anticipate the same thing this week?
Not only anticipate, expect it, demand it. They'll demand it from each other. It's our approach. It's our approach, and it has to stay that way. I know that sometimes teams like to look past that, start looking at conference play. I think you always address it because there's no sense in trying to, head fake your way through the reality of life and social media. I think that's the worst thing we can do. I've gone through that as a player. That doesn't work at all. So it's critical that our guys understand that everything that we do towards our improvement, everything we do towards our betterment, learning how to practice better, learning how to invest more time in our technical and fundamental periods, investing in our physicality. Like, tomorrow, we make it known tomorrow's practice and Wednesday's practice, it needs to be harder than a game. It needs to be. And the trust and belief in that and making sure that that does happen, that at the end of every Tuesday and Wednesday, we could look at the film and say, okay, we played a football game today. I think those are the most important things and the focal points. And I think you'll hear that echoed by every single member of this organization throughout the course of the week.
Is there an update on Lamar's status? And then secondly, how did the team come out health-wise out of Portland State?
Yeah, I feel good about Lamar. He did practice yesterday and felt really good. He's been cleared already. But we're always watchful, right, of things of that nature. In terms of any other injuries, I know that our man Stack is just about ready to go. So, we'll see how he comes out and performs tomorrow. I might be missing somebody. Pardon me if I do. If I do, I'll get that to you guys right away. But I think I know we came out healthy, some bumps and bruises, but nothing that should prevent anybody from playing this Saturday.
Right here on the right, Ryan.
It kind of feels like all Jalen Redd does is catch touchdowns, but obviously if he's on the field, that means he does everything to your liking. What have you seen from him overall, and what is his potential?
I'm glad you brought up Jalen Redd. I really am, because last year I wasn't really sure. This is the guy that played defense. He's played offense, playing receiver, carried the ball in high school, did a lot of things. And you're wondering, man, this guy has ability, but where does it fit? Well, none of that really mattered, because he just made a conscious decision that he was going to approach every single day like a pro. I mean, this guy has really become a focused, driven individual. Like, I can't tell you how impressed we are as a staff by what he has chosen to do, which is really up his level of intensity, mental intensity, preparation, focus. This guy has taken the next step as a Power 5 football player, on his way to being a big-time football player. And it's all come from within. It's all come from within, and it's as impressive, and it's such a breakthrough for a player when that happens. So, don't mind me if I gush a little bit about that, because, again, if the DNA is right, if the culture is right, everything else will take care of itself. And he's certainly on the path that you would want all your players to be.
We have time for one more. In the middle, Warren.
Mario, kind of like what along the line with Rob was saying, with conference play coming, where are you fundamentally? I know you preach fundamentals all the time at practice, getting better, getting faster, getting stronger fundamentally. Where are you? Are you in the place that you want to be as you gear towards conference play?
Well, we make that goal so high that it's borderline unreachable. So I think we'll have this conversation in game 11, and we'll say, we're not there yet. We're not there yet. Do we see improvement? Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, you got to make sure you're playing with good pad level, right? That your hands are inside, your feet are in the ground. I think we're running better routes. I think we're coming out of our breaks better. I think our pad level is getting better. Our hat position, hand placement is getting better. We're playing with flatter backs in the run game coming off the football. I think our defensive line is coming out of their hips better and striking and knocking back defenders better. I think our linebackers are fitting and tackling better. And that being said, it's still not where we want it and need it to be. So, and I think they recognize that, because we point out on film. We're very, when we watch film, we are very focused on fundamental, I would say, skill stuff more than we are the schematic stuff. The schematic part comes with it, but in terms of the fundamentals and all the technique that we're so into that. We're such preachers and teachers about that we're seeing some good results, but we also feel that if we keep doing that and do it the right way, we're going to see better results as the season goes along. So the progress, we're trending upwards, and with not the problem, but the reality of it is we got to keep trending upwards to make sure that we reach our goals.
Thank you, Coach.
Okay, good. Guys, thank you very much. Appreciate you.